everyone, welcome. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here for another explainer. If you're a focused learner looking to master the South African motor industry's regulatory landscape, well, you are exactly where you need to be. Today, we're undertaking a bit of a guided quest. We are looking at the Finance and Insurance Manager, or as you'll often hear, the F&I Manager. Now, this isn't just any job. The stakes here are incredibly high. As an F&I manager, you are literally the ultimate guardian of a dealership's multi-million rand operating license. It's a career path that's frankly filled with confusing acronyms, strict legal hurdles, and ticking clocks. But don't worry, by the end of this explainer, you're going to see exactly how to navigate this whole journey with absolute clarity. I want to kick things off with this quote right from our source handbook, mainly because it just instantly elevates the profession. Your role is to turn a transaction into a long-term, compliant financial relationship. We so often think of compliance as just this tedious checklist of boxes we have to tick just to keep the auditors off our backs. But what this brilliantly points out is that the rules are actually a framework. They're a framework for building lasting, rock-solid trust with your clients. You aren't just selling cars. You are genuinely securing people's financial futures. So here is the map for our journey today. We'll cover 1. The F&I Manager role, 2. Fit and Proper requirements, 3. The career roadmap, 4. Tackling NGUF qualifications, and finally, 5. Your compliance journey partner.
All right, Section 1. The F&I Manager role, the dual-purpose powerhouse. Let's dive right in.
Okay, you'll very often hear the F&I Manager referred to as the business manager. And it's such a unique dual-purpose role in the motor industry because you basically have to balance two completely different skill sets. On the one hand, you've got to be a really sharp financial expert, someone who deeply understands risk, interest rates, and all those complex banking criteria. But on the exact same token, you must be an exceptional customer service specialist. You have to be able to communicate those complicated financial concepts to everyday buyers clearly, and most importantly, with empathy. Let's break down what you're actually doing on a daily basis. Your core responsibilities basically rest on 3 main pillars. First up is assistance. This is where you're helping customers find the absolute best finance options for their new vehicle. Second is protection, offering value-added products, or VAPs. Think things like extended warranties and shortfall cover to protect their big investment. And third, and honestly the most critical, is compliance. You have to ensure every single deal is legally sound under FICA and FAIS regulations. Remember what we said earlier? Compliance is the ultimate shield. Without it, the entire dealership's ability to even trade is on the line. So, as an F&I manager, you really don't just work for the dealership. You actually sit right at the very center of a highly complex network. Think of it like being the critical link connecting the dealerships, the commercial banks, the insurance underwriters, and of course, the customer. You are the conductor of this entire financial orchestra, making sure everyone is playing in harmony.
Moving on to Section 2. Fit and Proper requirements, demystifying the FSCA standards.
The FSCA neatly breaks down what makes a professional fit and proper into 4 main standards. Let's just walk through them quickly. First, honesty and integrity. Simple enough, this means having a clean, proven track record of ethical conduct. Second is competence. Now here comes our acronym soup. This means passing your RE5 regulatory exams, completing your COB or class of business modules, and getting your formal NQF qualifications. Third is experience, which is basically your time-based, practical learning inside a dealership under strict supervision. And finally, CPD, or continuous professional development. These are your ongoing, yearly learning hours that you absolutely need to maintain your hard-earned status. Now, if you're looking at all those requirements and feeling a bit overwhelmed, especially if you're an entry-level candidate or maybe changing careers, here is a massive pro tip straight from the handbook. You can actually start your career as a representative under supervision. This is a total game changer because it allows you to actively work in a dealership and earn an actual income while you complete those RE5 and COB trials over a supervised 12-month period. You literally don't have to wait until you are fully qualified to start earning your keep.
That brings us to Section 3, the career roadmap, step-by-step to the summit.
Let's trace the actual timeline. At year 0, your minimum entry requirement is your matric. Simple. Day 1 is employment, securing that role at an authorized financial services provider, which in this case is the dealership. Fast forward to month 6, and you need to be passing your RE5, which is that first-level regulatory exam. Hit month 12, and you should be completing your 10 class of business modules. Then we skip ahead to year 3, and boom, you are achieving seniority. You're moving fully from an F&I representative to a senior business manager, or hey, maybe even a dealer principal. But listen, all of this comes down to one absolutely crucial concept: your DOFA, or date of first appointment. The very moment you are officially appointed, that DOFA clock starts ticking. Every single actionable deadline moving forward, taking your RE exam in step 2, aligning your COB in step 3, confirming your NQF qualification in step 4, and planning those CPD cycles in step 5. All of these deadlines are mathematically calculated from that single DOFA date. If you lose track of that date, you are going to lose track of your compliance. Section 4. Tackling NQF qualifications. Building your professional foundation. Okay, so the FSCA requires recognized occupational qualifications, and we're going to look at one of the prime examples right now. This is SOCWA ID 9174, the Occupational Certificate for an Insurance Agent or Underwriter. It's an NQF Level 5 qualification, and it requires a minimum of 156 credits. Now, you might be wondering, why this specific qualification? Well, according to the South African Qualifications Authority, this recognized standard specifically prepares you to evaluate complex information to protect stakeholders' interests. It teaches you how to use specialist technical knowledge to determine, price, manage, and ultimately transfer risk. It is a very robust, heavy-hitting educational standard. So what do you actually walk away knowing by the end of it? Well, first, you'll learn to apply strict operational and administrative procedures. You'll learn exactly how to evaluate risk information to accurately determine a risk profile and manage exposure. You will also apply basic legal and insurance principles. So we're talking about understanding contracts, subrogation, and indemnity. And finally, you will apply product and pricing knowledge to underwrite profitable risks. This isn't just fluffy theory, right? These are highly practical skills designed to ensure bulletproof, compliant administration in the real world. And finally, Section 5, your compliance journey partner, walking the journey together. Let's be honest, a very real challenge here is figuring out how a busy working professional is supposed to coordinate exams, 10 COB modules, and a massive 156 credit NQF qualification without dropping the ball. That is where Fit and Compliant Consulting steps in. They act as your wise guide, or your Sherpa, if you will, coordinating this entire adventure so you never have to walk it alone. Let's look at steps 1 to 4 to see how they start. It begins with strict POPIA consent and pre-employment checks just to verify honesty and financial standing. Then, in step 2, they identify the exact FAIS-recognized NQF qualification you're going to need. In step 3, they provide a personalized service level agreement and actually register you for your RE5 exam. And then in step 4, they actively coordinate with accredited educational providers to get you enrolled and track your NQF progression. They basically take on the entire administrative burden so you can just focus on studying. Then, the back half of the journey is all about how they get you across the finish line. Step 5 is coordinating your class of business training with banks and insurers and keeping all those records audit ready. Step 6 is massively important. They actively monitor that 12-month supervision period under a key individual, keeping detailed progress reports for the FSCA audits. Step 7 is coordinating the final compliance sign-off for your full F&I authorization. And finally, Step 8 is tracking your ongoing CPD requirements year after year. It really is complete end-to-end management of your timeline. Just to summarize this incredible wraparound learner support, here are the core pillars. Coordination. They're an independent learner support company, right? Not a credit-bearing institution themselves. So they link you with the very best accredited providers. Next is coaching. They offer WhatsApp support groups and study plan trackers to keep you motivated. Then, timelines. They provide personalized deadline tracking based entirely on that vital DOFA date we talked about earlier. Their ultimate goal is empowering you to meet the FSCA requirements, not just with confidence, but with excellence. And that leads us perfectly to their core philosophy. We listen, we link, we guide. I think this just beautifully demonstrates a commitment to your long-term professional development. Because your career in the motor F&I industry is way more than just passing a test. It is a lifelong journey of continuous growth, professionalism, and service. Having an independent coordinator in your corner ensures you have accountability and support every single step of the way. So as we wrap up today's explainer, I want to leave you with one big question to chew on. Are you ready to become fit, compliant, and career ready? The roadmap is entirely laid out for you, but the execution? Well, that part is up to you. The South African motor industry is actively, desperately searching for ethical, highly competent F&I managers to guard their operations. So, will you step up to be the ultimate guardian of their business? Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive, and as always, keep learning.
Fit and compliance.